This is Edriech Rosa, 5-0, 4 knockouts. You're watching Box Talk with Luis Madrid.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Box Talk with Luis Madrid. Today we're here at the Robles Boxing Gym here in Coolidge, Arizona, and we're joined by a young prospect here, Kid Flash, Edriech Rosa, correct?
Yes, sir.
There you go. How you doing today, Chen? Thank you for having us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So to kick us off, man, can you just take us back to the beginning? Can you just tell us a little bit about your birthplace and your upbringing?
Yeah, I was born in Ponce, Puerto Rico. Great family, great supportive family. You know, not a lot of money in my family. You know, especially over there, but we were always happy. You know, sports was always a good way to stay out of trouble for me. You know, I was also a very chubby kid when I first started. Before I started the sports, so it was also a way for me to get in shape and just get in a better thing. But I did martial arts for most of my whole life out there in Puerto Rico. So
okay, I've heard you mention before that it was your dad that got you into it.
Yeah, it was kept getting in trouble for a while, and after I left it, and I just remember I just kept telling my dad, like, I just want to box, and I gotta be in school using the computers to print out pictures of Tito Trinidad and Miguel Cotto and put it on my binder, you know, instead of doing my work. So I always, even then, I wasn't even boxing back then, you know, I was just a fan, but I knew what I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to do something in the boxing world, you know, and I would find videos on YouTube and train myself in my living room. Then I would street fight, and then I started getting in trouble, and my dad wanted to show me that I'm not the baddest dude out there, so he took me to a gym, but I actually did good because I had already trained and stuff. I beat up a guy there, and I just stayed there, you know, I just stayed training, and I love it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I feel like I could be wrong, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like from what I have heard in Puerto Rico, it's either baseball or boxing. It's like
Baseball, boxing, or basketball.
Right.
Basketball is very big over there. Boxing is too. The people are crazy. You know. I don't know if you ever seen. I'm a big old school boxing fan. You know, if you watch those old school Benitez fights, those old school Gomez fights, all those fights in Puerto Rico, you know, where they take place at, they always got the air horns, everybody's yelling, you know, they'll boo you out if you win, and you're not Puerto Rican, you know, like the crowd's hectic over there, they're very animated, and hopefully one day, you know, soon, I can get a fight out there, and fight in front of my people, you know.
For sure. And so, you were born in Ponce, but at some point in time, you also lived in Bronx, correct? And
yeah.
then you ended up out here in Arizona.
For sure.
Can you take us a little bit through that timeline?
Yeah, I remember my dad's job is a lot of moving, so I would try, a lot of times I would stay in certain states for 1 or 2 years, but I'd always find a gym, go in there and try to, and just, I always kept sparring, and then I moved to the Bronx. I got a lot of great work out there, but it was just a lot of, and New York's kind of crazy and upbeat, you know, and stuff, so I wanted to chill out, so I came out here. And especially since it's closer to the border, there's a lot of smaller fighters, you know, out here, you know, so I knew that I could get more fights out here and more, and it would help me more promoting my career further on.
Right. And did you just kind of wing it and end up out here, or did you have some type of friends, family, or anything?
I had family out here, but I didn't have anything out here besides my mom, and that was it, and I just kind of, my mom and my dad, and then I just moved out here, you know, but I love it out here.
Right.
It's great.
Cool, man. And so at what point in time did you start, pick up, like, actually boxing and then getting into amateurs, competing?
I think I had my first amateur fight within, like, 4 months of me boxing. And then I didn't fight for 6 months, then get a fight, 6 months, go to a tournament. No, couldn't get matched up. You know how it is in those small weight classes in the amateurs. And, just getting a lot of smokers in.
Okay. And so I know for a lot of people, when they decide to go pro, everybody has their own reason. So some people, it's for the money, they have a child, family, whatever the case might be. Or some people, which kind of sounds like your case, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe just their style fits better to pros, or you can't get fights, or whatever the case may be. What was your reason for deciding to go pro when you did go pro?
Yeah, you knocked it right on the head. You know, ever since I went as an amateur, and I just didn't like the headgear. The gloves are bigger, you know. I wanted it to be about me, you know. I'm kind of a diva sometimes, you know. I wanted it to be more about me, not about the actual show and the fighters and everybody else around me, you know. I like that the pros is more about like, oh, it's you, you know, now you're fighting, so this is about you, and then it's about you, you know, and people treat you better, and it just, my style is definitely not an amateur style, you know, but yeah, I just didn't like the amateurs, always going to tournaments, couldn't find fights because there's not people in your weight and stuff like that, and it was just a headache. I didn't go pro for the money, I didn't go pro for nothing, you know. I kind of just wanted to go pro. I don't know, I just want to be like my idol Tito Trinidad so bad, and I knew that's the way to do it.
And I know you kind of you mixed into a few other martial arts sports, and you even had an MMA fight you mentioned. What is it about boxing where you just decided, yeah, I'm just gonna stick to boxing?
Definitely leg kicks, I would say. Leg kicks, yeah, man. Leg kicks mess you up. I remember I couldn't go to school. I had a Muay Thai coach, and he was trying to teach me, because I remember when I was young, I had this attitude, and he was trying to teach me a lesson, so he kicked my leg. Well, it left a bruise that I couldn't go to school for like 2 weeks. And then I was like, yeah, I don't like leg kicks.
Just to get just a little bit off topic, I promise I won't throw us off too much, but I don't know if you know who Shannon Briggs is, the heavyweight.
Yeah.
He actually had a segment. For some reason, it's not on YouTube anymore. I used to love watching it a lot. I don't know, I don't get tired of it, but he did a segment with Joe Rogan, and he talks about the same thing where they offered him a kickboxing fight. He was like, man, he hit me twice, and I was like, if he hits me one more time, I'm gonna quit. He said it basically sounds like two bats.
Oh yeah.
Boom.
If you've never got kicked, I'm telling you, right, like, and I don't mean like you're in a street fight, some street fighter kicks you. I mean a trained good athlete that knows how to kick like the right places. Yeah, you're not gonna like it. It'll stop you real quick. That's why I think that I'm gonna do MMA after my boxing career, so that I have legs to actually box people with, you know.
Right. Okay. And so for the people that maybe have never seen you fight, how would you describe your boxing style?
Probably like a Camacho Trinidad mix, you know. I can box like Camacho with the speed, but I can punch and come forward with the aggression of Tito. I'm very versatile. I can fight going backwards, I can fight going forwards, I can be a counter puncher, I can be the aggressor. Very smart in the ring. I think that's me. People like to talk about my speed and my power, but if you ever see me spar, you know, I set things up. You know, people will tell me afterwards, they'll be like, I didn't see that, but you were setting that up, you know?
Right.
And so I think that my ring IQ is very high, and that's what wins me a lot of my fights, in my opinion, is my smarts.
There you go. And so I know that Puerto Rico is rich in history when it comes to boxing.
Mm-hmm.
Who are some of your idols, some of the people that you looked up to from Puerto Rico, and then just in general? I
mean, you know, Puerto Rico is a small island off the coast, you know, and I think I think there's like a thing that people say that per square inch, Puerto Rico has the most world champions, you know, for how small it is, you know. Like, it's one of the smallest, like, you can barely see it on the map, but we produce Cotto, Trinidad, Wilfredo Benitez, Wilfredo Gomez, you know, and those are the people I look up to. I like old school boxing, you know, I watch old school fighters. While people are watching Netflix and they're watching Hulu, you know, I'm watching old fights, you know, I'm watching old HBO fights, I'm watching old Showtime fights, I'm watching all types of fights. This is what I do, you know.
And I would imagine when you're watching them, it kind of gets your adrenaline going, and you're just like, man, I can't wait. Hopefully, I'm in one of those fights one day.
Yeah, like, you know, I remember I was watching Trinidad versus your boy Campus, right? You know, I know everybody's seen that, but like in that fight, man, I was back and forth for a while there, you know. And I remember when I first seen that, because I'm younger, so I had to watch that later on after it happened. And I remember the first time I seen it, I got off my bed, you know, I was like, whoa, this, you know, and stuff like that gets you boiling, and then you start shadow boxing, and then you start hitting the bag, and you're like, let me go run, and then you go run, you know, so it motivates you to watch those fighters.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm on the same boat, you know. I didn't get to see a lot of those fights when because I'm
you too.
younger too, but My favorite fighter was actually Vargas. So his first title was against.
Yo, that was one of my favorite fights. You know what I'm saying?
When he won that title, he got emotional, and I feel like every time I watch it, I get emotional too. And I don't even think I watched that live.
Yeah,
it was so long ago. Sounds good, man. And another quick thing I wanted to ask you about your boxing style. I've seen when you maybe it has an actual name to it. I really don't know, but when you're boxing and you just do like that little dip all the way to the floor and then you just jump and punch. I've seen a lot of Dominican fighters do that, but is that kind of just your own thing, or where'd you get that from?
There's a lot of stuff that I feel like God gifted me with athleticism, very good athleticism. So there's just stuff that I see, and I'll start beating a guy up with the jab, backing him up a little bit, and I'm just like, I'll try it, Like, I just try different stuff all the time, It works. I can get away with it because of my speed and my agility, I've dropped down before. I've, do my hands behind my back, boom, hit this guy. I do crazy stuff all the time, but I always make sure that I'm covering my bases and that my defense is ready if he counters me back,
right.
I'm not just doing it just to do it, before I do it, I'm like, just keep your defense tight and make sure you don't get countered,
Right, for sure. You know who Edriech Rosa is by any chance?
I actually did. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. That's when I dropped down like that. I seen an Erickson Lubin fight 2 weeks before I did that. So that might have just been that I was like. But I do a lot of crazy stuff all the time.
Yeah, because he's one of my favorite fighters too, and he did that, and he knocked somebody out off of doing that.
I actually did it too. Right after that, I gotta stop it.
Yeah.
I dropped down, I hit him, boom, rocked him on the ropes, and then I just put him away.
Yeah, and he's not Dominican, but he says he got it from the Dominicans too. I don't know if there's like a lot of Dominicans in Florida where he's from, but
there's a lot of Puerto Ricans in Florida, but I think he is Dominican, half Dominican too. And I know Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. I mean, the islands are all close,
Right.
So we're different, but we have similarities in our style. We're flashier. We're not in Puerto Rico. We don't just come forward all the time. We box. We move. There's a different trait to the styles.
Right.
Like East Coast has a different style from West Coast out here. The Dominicans, even though it's boxing, we all have different styles.
For sure. And I know that when you're young, you want to stay busy. You want to get those fights in, those rounds in, and that experience, but. In your case, just in everybody's case, the good old pandemic hit, How did that affect you personally as far as your boxing career goes, and how it kind of stalled things for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, it sucked. My last fight was in 2020 February, so 2 weeks. I remember riding in the car with my coach, Randy Robles, and we were talking about it, and we were just like, oh, this is going to pass. We had the fight, and then 3 weeks later, everything was shut down. And we just kept laughing about it, and we were like, oh, this will pass, And it didn't. And I got a lot of offers that never panned out because they would push the dates back or something, So I definitely missed out on a lot of opportunities, but we'll just come back stronger.
For sure. I'm sure the rest was good too. That's good for everybody.
Yeah. And I feel like I am getting a little older, so I do want to start getting a little bit more busier, but regardless, that's just always been since I was an amateur. I haven't really had that many fights, I like getting experience.
Right. Okay. Now it looks like April 24th, you're gonna be back in action finally, and not only that, but it's gonna be with fans. So how are you feeling about that?
Honestly, people, it's funny. A lot of guys actually did get fights during the pandemic,
right?
And they could say like, "Oh, I fought during the pandemic." Like I didn't fight during the pandemic, so. It's just like this is regular to me, Like this is what I'm used to. I'm used to people, yelling and talking. I remember my first pro debut. I just kept hearing people telling me, "You're gonna get knocked out. You're gonna get knocked out. You suck. On the way out, and it's cool. I like when people wrong.
Right. Sure. Sounds good, man. And so when you sit down, and I feel like everybody has a vision. So when you sit down and you envision your career. What are your goals? What type of things do you see yourself accomplishing?
I mean, I want to give back like everybody does, but that shouldn't be something you should say. That just should be something you do. So I would say I want to win a world title. I mean, why are you in the sport if you're not trying to be the best and win a world title? So I'm trying to win a world title, unify my division, move up, win another world title at another division, and then I want to transition into winning a title in MMA and be a two-sport world champion in 2 divisions in those 2 sports.
There you go. And so what can we expect from you for the rest of 2021? Do you expect to be kind of busy the rest of this year?
Just a lot of knockouts, just knocking guys out all 2021.
Great performances.
Great performances, ranking up, big fights, little fights, big fights. It don't matter. I'll fight anybody, you know.
Right.
So
okay.
I just want to stay busy, fight, and yeah.
For sure. There you go, man. So let's go ahead and jump into the next segment. So I have 3 fights, upcoming fights for you, and just let me know what's your take on them, okay?
All right.
So the first one that I have for you is the Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders. I believe that's in May.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see that going down?
Billy's gonna box good for a couple rounds. I think Canelo's gonna put that amazing pressure that he has. He's eventually gonna get him on the rope, start working the body. And those European fighters, they break down. They have that. I mean, Billy isn't really a European fighter like that. He fights more flashier than most European fighters. But I just think Canelo's got too strong, too experienced, he's just too much for him.
Right. Okay, for sure. And the next one, and hopefully you don't give me a biased answer, man, because I know this is your
oh, it's a Puerto Rican? Oh, you got it. I'm just kidding.
So the Vaquero Navarrete versus Pitufo Diaz.
Let me tell you what. I'm just kidding.
I believe that's for the 126 WBO title, if I'm not mistaken. It's in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always gonna go for my peeps, but I think Navarrete is probably gonna break him down. If I'm being 100% honest, I think Navarrete will probably break him down 4th, 5th round, probably stop him in the 6th, something like that.
Okay. And then the final one is, well, today's fight. This probably won't come out till like Thursday, but either way, we'll find out if you guessed right. The Jamel Herring versus Carl Frampton fight. I think that one's also for the 130 WBO.
I think that's a very competitive fight. Neither one of those guys is at a level of a Terrence Crawford or Canelo Alvarez. They're not looked at a star like that, They both have a lot to prove. I heard Frampton talking about retirement afterwards, so I'm taking the other one.
Okay.
Can't be talking about retirement when you're gonna have the biggest fight of your career,
Right.
So I'll take the Marine.
There you go. All right, man. And then to finish things up here, I have the final segment, which is just kind of just getting to know you. 12 questions. And we'll finish up with that, okay? So the first one that I have is, what is the first thought that enters your head when you wake up in the morning?
Coffee.
Coffee?
Yeah.
Do you wake up super early?
Me? It depends on the day, because I train at 5 a.m. sometimes, and then sometimes I train at 2 o'clock.
There you go. Question number 2 is, what was your favorite childhood cartoon?
My favorite childhood cartoon, Tom and Jerry.
Hopefully you really watched it, man, because I know you said you don't watch TV. You were always watching fights.
I was
3 years old studying film.
I was. Even when I was like a little kid, I would watch it. But here and there, you switch and go watch Tom and Jerry.
Right. Okay. Question number 3 is, what movie or movies have ever made you cry or shed a tear?
I'll say when Pookie got addicted to crack on New Jack City.
Oh, okay.
She was kind of sad.
Question number 4 is, if we took your phone and we went through the music, what is your music playlist like?
A lot of salsa, a lot of bachata, hip hop for sure. Old school hip hop, East Coast hip hop for sure. I like East Coast hip hop, so that's probably what you mean.
Mobb Deep and Fat
Yeah,
Joe,
Nas,
Jadakiss.
Jadakiss, all of them, man.
Being out here so long and being around so many of us Mexicans and in Arizona, you never randomly shuffle into some banda or anything like that?
Here and there I do. Yeah, if I get drunk enough, I'll probably do it.
Alright, question number 5 is, what is the worst job that you've ever had to work?
My worst job I've ever had to work? Ooh, that's easy. My first job, I worked at they did laundries for hotels, and they paid me like $7 an hour. It was terrible.
So it was the pay or the job sucked?
Honestly, the job wasn't that bad, but I hadn't worked. That was my first job, so my feet were hurting the whole time. And I was a kid, so I was emotional. I was like, my feet hurt, I'm gonna go home, so it's kind of trash.
Alright, and then question number 6 is, what is your favorite thing to eat after weigh-ins?
I could eat before or after. Most fighters, they have to cut weight. I'm on weight before that. I'll get up, drink some coffee, eat a yogurt and a banana, go weigh in, get out, and then just go eat. I eat regularly, like anybody. Like
you weigh in with your shoes on and your clothes.
My last fight, I weighed in with my shoes, I was drinking Gatorades on the way to the weigh-ins to gain weight. So
for sure. Question number 7 is if a movie was made about your life story, who would play you?
Who would play me? Brad Pitt. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Question number 8 is what is your least favorite exercise?
My least favorite exercise, jumping rope, because it gets boring. You know, I don't really get tired. I just get bored.
And sometimes it's for like 15 minutes straight or something.
Yeah, like dude, when I go running, if I run 6 miles I'm not even tired by the 4th. You know, I'm just like, I just want to go home, just because I'm tired. Not tired, but I'm just like, I just don't want to be out here no more. You know, just want to get this workout done.
Question number 9. I know you have that East Coast swag. You come from the Bronx, so I know fashion and shoes and being flashy and all that stuff is kind of part of the culture. So
got the Martian.
What would you say your favorite sneaker of all time is?
My favorite sneaker of all times, the UNC ones, the Jordan UNC ones.
So those are like the ones that are like baby blue and white.
Yeah. I just love the silhouette of the ones, and I love the colorway with the baby blue and the white. It's just beautiful.
There you go. Question number 10 is: do you follow any other sports closely outside of boxing?
Outside of boxing, MMA and just MMA. Football.
Thought you were gonna be like a big Yankees fan or something.
Nah, I like baseball. I don't like watching it though. I like playing it.
All right. Question 11 is: what is your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve is when people come to a gym and they try to tell you how good they are of a fighter when you can clearly look at them and tell that they're not fighters.
There we go. And then question number 12 is, when it's all said and done, what do you want people to remember about you the most, whether it's in the ring or out the ring?
I kept it real, you know, outside and inside the ring, you know.
Right. Okay, for sure. And before we let you go, I know your coach has recently, going through some medical problems. Do you want to, give him a good message, a get well message? We love you. Something?
Yeah, Randy. You better get well, man. We got these knockouts coming up this year, so you got to get better, man. I love you, and I think you'll be good, man. I love you a lot.
There you go.
Done a lot for me.
There you go, man. Well, thank you very much. Before we let you go, do you have any final words for your fans, followers, and any social media that you want to give out?
Just follow me on any social media. My name's one of a kind. I think it's made up, so you'll probably find me pretty. You'll probably find me pretty easy. And just stick with me. I'll be a world champ.
And we'll go ahead and tag the complicated.
Yeah. Just put it right here somewhere.
Somewhere right here. All right, sounds good, man. Well, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for another episode of Box Talk with Luis Madrid. God bless.